Hello, everyone. This is Sanjiv again with the 30-day live challenge. Today is day 7. I'm sorry I was supposed to be going live at 7:30, but I was at a place where it was very noisy and there was no proper connection as well, and it was intermittent. So I thought that I might as well just shift it to some other time, and 9:30 is what I thought would be fine because um, I reached home by 9. But anyway, like I said in my message also today, it was a very important message that I wanted to relay and share with you, and that's the reason I wanted to make sure that we go online properly. So the topic for today is that the stories that we tell ourselves, right? So let's dive straight into this. And the question that I would have is for you is this: what if the pain isn't what happened, but what you keep repeating in your mind? What if that is true? What if the pain is not what happened, but what you keep repeating? So let me ask you this: what if what's hurting you today is not what they did or what they said, and it isn't what happened actually, but what if the story that you're telling yourself and that you're looping about is the reason why you're feeling the way you're feeling? What if that is true? The story that says, they never cared about me, I'm always the one left behind, I'm not worthy of being loved the way I love. What if these are the reasons why you are feeling the way you are feeling? These are all the stories that we keep on telling ourselves, and they are in our mind. They loop in our mind, and they cause us stress, anxiety, and issues. They're painful, right? That story, it's not just painful, it's actually powerful if you look at it, right? Because what happens is that it shapes everything that you see, everything that you feel, everything that you expect in that relationship. It is shaping everything because of the way you're telling that story in your mind. But here's the thing: most of the time we don't question that story, right? We just keep living inside it. We just keep living inside it, and it continues to cause problems for us, and we don't even realize it because we think this is true, and that's why it doesn't need to be questioned. So here's a little exercise that I'd like to do with you. It's called, the grounding ritual. That's I would like to call it. And it's something that allows you to come back to yourself, right? So take a moment with me, right? So place your hand on your heart and breathe in slowly through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Close your eyes if it helps, and just be here. Let your mind rest and let your heart soften. How are you feeling? And let this be the place where new stories can begin. Let this be the home for a new beginning, calm, relaxed, composed, ready to start and share a new story with yourself, right? Because you are not you're not the story, right? You are the one who is telling the story. You are the storyteller. So in that context, you're not weak for creating a story, right? Because you're a storyteller, you're powerful. Your mind was just trying to make sense of the pain, right? And that's why it weaved that story in your mind to keep you safe. So it was just trying to protect you, trying to build some meaning around, what happened in that moment. And since you could not understand, and you could not understand exactly what was happening or what was going on, your mind came up with a story. And then, since you did not have any idea, and that was the only story that was available in that moment, that's it. You grabbed onto it, and you found that to be the only true story that ever lives inside of you. But there's a problem with that. And the problem is that once a story forms, we rarely stop to ask, is this still true? It may have been true back then. I'm not saying that, mind is just, you know, creating stories on its own. No, it may have been true back then. But is this really still true? That's the question that you need to ask. That sibling you haven't spoken to in years, right? Maybe your story is they chose their ego over me, right? They didn't love me enough as I did. But what if the truth is that they didn't know how to come back either? They didn't know how to respond appropriately either. What if they have their own truth that you're not aware of in this moment? You've locked them into a story, and you're living and repeating that, looping through that same story over and over again. You have grown, but you don't allow them to grow. You're still tying them to the old they. And what happens is when you meet them again and they have grown, but you see them at the low end, they don't like it. Anybody would not like it. Nobody would like it. You would not like it. If somebody ties you to what happened 10 years ago, you would say, I am something different today. Look at me for what I am today. You allow them to grow and you see their growth, right? So, that moment when someone stopped showing up, you told yourself, I wasn't worth the effort, right? But maybe the truth is that they too were drowning, right? This is not about excusing what happened, right? Don't get me wrong here. I'm not excusing whatever happened back then or whenever you had an issue. So this is not about excusing what happened. It's about creating space for a more fuller truth, for a kinder truth, and not just your truth. One that one that frees you instead of chaining you. I'll tell you one incident that happened. I was in one of the groups recently, and there happened to be one person who shared a sentiment about their sibling, and I could see left and right. It was only filled with blame for her siblings. And I asked in that group, I asked her to look at her own statements, her own judgments, her own idea, her own story. And it so happened that the moderator of the group didn't like it, because you would see most of the time in the groups that are related to estranged sibling estrangement or any such relationship issues, you would find that these groups have a very protective wall around them. People who are in those groups, they are open to blame others, but nobody can say anything to them because they feel attacked, and they don't like it. And most of the moderators or the group owners allow that to happen. This is not going to happen here in this group, right? I am not going to take your side because you're in my group. I'm not going to take your side because you're in my friend list. I am going to see and take a look at it only what happened very objectively and sitting in the center, right? So That's how things happen here in this healing sibling bonds, the group that we have created. The whole idea is to evolve, to grow. And the only way to grow is to first understand what stories you are telling yourself. If you get locked into those stories, there is no growth. You can blame the other person left and right for the rest of your life and die one day, or wait for them to die one day. You are never going to come out of it, right? So the only way to grow is to first understand what stories have you locked yourself into, and then unravel that, create new stories that are more in alignment with the direction where you want to take your life in, and then walk that path. That's the only way to grow, right? So, and these stories, you know, they protect us, right? These stories do protect us until they imprison us. There comes a point where they start feeling like chains, they start feeling like a prison. So we create stories to cope, to survive, to understand, right? But when we don't update them, they start to harden. They become they become walls instead of windows, right? And we keep reliving the same chapter over and over and over again, even when the moment has long passed. And there are things that I would like to share with you. What is the effect of these stories, right? The story affects how you show up, right? Your story doesn't just stay in your head. It lives in your tone, in your posture, in your expectations, the way you show up at any given place. It lives throughout your life in anything and everything that you do. So they don't stay up in the head, they become a part of your energy makeup. And since energy is vibration, you are vibrating consciously, subconsciously, you are emitting that vibration, that of the story that is in your head. And even though you're not aware, you are attracting the similar vibrations back into your life. And then you say, I didn't ask for it. Well, you did. There's a story running in the back of your mind. You have not updated. Imagine a laptop or a phone, right, with the um, old software in it. What will happen if you don't update your software in the laptop or in your phone? You will get hacked. Your system won't perform to the optimum level that it's supposed to, right? So similarly, if you are at a low vibration, it is very easy for people to come into your life, create chaos, and then walk away. And then you wonder what happened. Well, what happened is that you invited them by the stories that you have in your mind. So, unless you update those stories, you have very little chance to grow. That's the truth. So, if you believe that no one cares, you'll expect abandonment. Easy. If you believe love means sacrifice, you will attract relationships that drain you, right? It's easy. That's what's the beauty is about the nature and the alignment that it does based on the vibration, right? It never lies. It does not care what you say. It cares who you are. And who you are is based on the story that you're constantly telling in your mind to yourself. That's who you are. So what do? Change the story. Change the story. And you change the energy you bring into the world. As simple as this. Now, I am saying is as simple as this, but you have to work on it. A lot of people listen to these ideas as some, okay, it's a good idea, but they never work on it. It's a good idea for someone else. It's a good idea for other people to follow, but it's not a good idea for me because I am supreme. My story is the truth, and it's the only ultimate truth. Well, if that's the idea and that's the narration that you have in your mind, then you're sitting in a wrong group. You're listening to a wrong person, and you are in a wrong live right now. You might as well just close this and then scroll to another, shiny object or shiny thing, or buy something on Amazon. That's what you should be doing. If these ideas are just good for others and not for you, and you're not ready to take action on them, God help you. But if you do want to make the change, you do want to take some action, then this place is the absolute place for you to move forward in life, because you can rewrite the the narrative without changing the past, right? A lot of times we get stuck in this thing that, how can I tell a new story when this actually happened with me? How can I lie? I'm not asking you to lie. I'm asking you to understand, grow, and tell a new story. So, in other words, you can actually rewrite the narrative that you have without changing the past. You don't need a new ending, right? You need a new interpretation. You need a new understanding, a new awareness that allows you to grow because you have understood the same thing from a new perspective, a new dimension. That changes your energy makeup. That changes the situations, people that you attract in your life. And it changes everything about you going forward. So you don't need a new ending, you actually need a new beginning. And the responsibility to get to a new beginning is only on you. You can hold your pain and still see beyond it, right? You can honor the heartbreak and still open your heart again. You can do that. You can. And it actually starts with just one question and honestly answering it. And the question is, what else might be true? You can, most of the time, we get stuck to the story that we have, and that is the only truth that we feel. But if you honestly ask this question, what else might be true, you will get deeper into the awareness, the understanding, and you will grow out of whatever situation that you are in, no matter how caged you feel in it. You will go out, you will grow out from it. So let me share some, questions for you for the reflection. And it's a gentle reflection. Those, I call them the soul questions. And the questions are, what is that one painful story you've been telling yourself? I want you to be absolutely honest with yourself when you're asking these questions and when you're answering these questions. I want you to take a diary or a journal, whatever you have, commit that you are going to honestly ask these questions and honestly answer these questions. Take some time away from whatever busyness that you have in your life. Sit quietly and then try to answer these questions. What is that one painful story you've been telling yourself? Where did that story begin? When did it start? And more importantly, is it still true? It may have been true back then, but is this still true? The other question is, what would change in your life if you replace that story with something that holds space for hope? What would change in your life if you replace that story with something that holds space in your space for hope, I would say, in your life? Now I want you to answer these questions and drop it in the comments, right? Let people learn from it. Let them reflect on your story and then reflect on themselves, the story that they are telling, right? So drop it in the comments. I'd love to hold hold that space for that truth, right, underneath that story that you have. I definitely would. So here's a practice that I would suggest you do. Rewrite the just one line, right? Take about 10 minutes today and choose one belief that you've carried. And it could be anything. They never really loved me. I'm hard to stay connected with. I have to do everything alone. Whatever it is, just write one belief that you're carrying with you and now rewrite it. Rewrite it like I am lovable, even if they don't show it, right? Your you being lovable must not or should not depend on anybody else showing up, right? Or anybody else caring, looking at it. No, I am lovable even if they couldn't show it. I am learning to open without fear, right? I deserve relationships that pour back into me. Rewrite these stories like this and see how the mind switches the story in your energy, and see how that relays into what you attract back in your life. Remember, you are a storyteller. You're not the story, you are a storyteller. So choose the story that frees you and not the story that cages you, right? You don't want to be chained. There are enough reasons, for the life to chain you in different things. Don't become a participant in the chaining mechanism. Become a contributor in freeing yourself and then freeing somebody else when you grow. And that's what I'm doing, right? That's what I'm doing. So in tomorrow's live, we are going to end it here now. So in tomorrow's live, tomorrow we'll go deeper into the energy behind our words, and we'll call it the power of unspoken expectation. I know I mentioned that, I go online and then I allow my heart to just let me take me wherever it needs to. And I realize that if I do that, why not? I might as well just do that beforehand, before I come to you online, so that I can frame it appropriately for you to get some benefit from it. And you must have seen it today, that the lives that we were doing up until yesterday, I was speaking, but today I thought that, there should be more of an engagement or more of a takeaway from these lives. So that's why I shared certain elements in it, that if you replay this, you will be able to understand what I mean. But hopefully this is a better way of doing it, and that builds on one another, right? One episode builds into another, and that helps to understand the whole spectrum of the things that we want to talk about in the next 30 days, in the total 30 days of live. So that's why I changed this mechanism, where I plan what I'm going to talk about, so that it makes sense, and sequentially we are able to deliver a very, you know a homogeneous experience. So tomorrow, like I said, we'll be talking about the power of unspoken expectations, because sometimes, what happens is, what ruins a relationship is not what what we say, but what we silently assume. And it has happened with me left and right in my life. People just assume, and that's it. And you must have seen it in yourself, in your experience as well. People just are so good at assuming things. And that is why tomorrow I want to talk about the power of unspoken expectations, right? So we're going to end this here today. If this live brought you any clarity, like, and I always say this, right? If it brought you any clarity or any relief, don't keep it to yourself, right? Like this video, share the reflection. We talked about so many questions and reflections in it. Share something so that it becomes a more engaging experience for everybody. I mean, if I don't see anything, if I don't see any commitment from your end to even share anything, why would I do it? Well, I do it because I love doing it. And you're not sharing because there's a story going on in your head. This is not for me. I don't, you know, it's not relevant to me, or whatever story that you have. If you're here, if you're listening to it, there is something in your energy that has brought you face to face with this live. Think about it. You know, go deep into what caused you to bring this live to you. How is it related to you, to your life? Reflect on it. Maybe that's the only reason why this live exists, and that is the reason that I don't expect that you comment, but it would be helpful if you comment, because it helps this live reach other people. And also, if you share it with the people who actually need it, then you become a contributing factor in in helping people live a better life. So share your reflections below, send it to someone stuck in this old story, right? Join the healing sibling community, healing sibling bonds community that we have. And always remember this one word. I told you I've fallen in love with that word, and the word is hope. HOPE stands for help one person every day. And today it might be you, tomorrow someone who finds this because of you. All right. So thank you for walking this journey with me, and have a good night. Have fun, have a fulfilling life, and God bless you. Thank you. Bye. Good night.